And we're back at the start for the Wyfold. This is the men's club Hogstfall. So you have N.S.R. Oslo, Norway on the left of your screen, and the Berkshire Station and Northwich Rowing Club on the right of your screen. And I'm happy to say I'm about to be joined by Jim Harlow.
Hi Jess, how are you doing? Well, it's a beautiful day. It's turning out to be. The sun's shining, there's a few clouds overhead, the wind's dropped a bit. Cracking day for racing.
It really is. We've had some tight ones so far, which is brilliant to see the standard of all these crews as they Northwich and this N.S.R. Oslo go off quite tight there. The blades almost touching. The few little calls there from the umpire to separate the crews, which we don't want to see the crews crashing into each other at this point of the race.
And this is the tricky part of the course. As you see, you look now, there's an island on the left and it stops, and as the wind comes down, you get some funny swirling effects. And in these Cox's boats, this is the really tricky bit. And of course, you're dicey with these wooden booms on the edge of the course.
I told you you had the Cox a second ago, but no, this is the Wyfold, not the Brit Jess. So here they go, and the crew from Norway seem to have slipped about 2/3 of a length there.
Just a little bit more composed, they came up with a quarter-mile signal. Dealing with the conditions. You can see the water's a little bit bobbly down there, a little bit of wind. You can see the flags fluttering in the background there. So it's reasonably tricky as you come off the top of the island, I think. Norsk students have settled into a bit of a better race rhythm, seem to have a little longer stroke, and that's probably why they're slowly pulling away.
Quite evenly matched in size as this crew, so I expect to see a bit of competition through the middle of this race. We've just seen some great races where, you know, the fastest crew didn't always necessarily keep moving, and this headwind gives them that chance to stay in the race.
I agree. They've got to stay in touch, haven't they? But they look, yeah, they're slightly shorter strokes there, slightly less composed, and I think it's starting to show as we look further down the course.
Both crews very tight down the middle of that course, and not feeling that comfortable sitting in that dirty water being sent down from Oslo. You don't want that. Why do you not want to sit in that water, Jim? Well,
you want nice calm conditions. That makes it much easier to put your blades into the water particularly, but it's within the rules, so the middle of the course is neutral water, and both crews are straight into that area, so they're not impacting each other. Northwich had the opportunity to move out onto their station into clear water, so in hindsight you'd do that, wouldn't you? But in the middle of the race it's very tricky. It's a hard thing to steer, isn't it? Because those who might not be familiar, there's one of those athletes in that boat's looking all the way down the course, trying to keep the boat going straight with their feet, whilst they're also having to row flat out too.
That's not easy when you have a bit of the stream of the Thames pushing against you and a little bit of this wind coming back at you. But Northwich have not counted themselves out just yet, and I think they're staying in contention with this N.S.R. and Oslo crew. Quite a nice rhythm. They don't look panicked.
No, they do look quite composed. Probably a slightly more punchier stroke when you compare to the Oslo crew. The Oslo crew a little bit smoother and longer, which might suggest that where they are now. But if you look at the results from yesterday, Northwich had a quicker race time. They beat Curly by 4.5 lengths. A comfortable win yesterday in a time of 8 minutes, whereas Oslo's race yesterday closer. It was 8 minutes and 12 seconds yesterday, so the time might have suggested the form looked the other way round, but here they look comfortably in control of this race now. Long, languid strokes, powerful ones too, lots of work to the water. As you get a close look, I think that boat's moving really nicely, cutting through the water there. What a great shot.
Yeah, they look very untroubled there, the Oslo crew, and I think this is one of the joys of our sport. Get to look back at the opposition. You can control the race when you're leading it. It's a powerful place to be. You probably have that person at the front of the boat, the bowman, or the person next to them, the two-seat, just having a few words of encouragement, saying, keep loose, keep long, keep doing this, because we're approaching Remenham, and we've got clear water now.
And of course, it's not just about power, it's also very much a sport about what's in your head too, and psychologically you can sit there, they're 2.5 lengths now, sit on top of Northwich in a really commanding place, you can relax. And this Northwich crew, but they're not giving up, they're really putting, you can see the effort they're putting to try and get back onto equal terms.
Reese Coffey, Finn Lawton, Craig Taylor, George Lawton up in the stroke seat there. Keeping in this race, keeping a high rate. And they're not letting them have an easy time of it. A little bit of dirty water there, caught their oar. not going to help their rhythm through this section of the race.
No, they're not helping themselves very much that way, but you know, that's the trade-off, isn't it? They're putting absolute maximum effort to catch up, and often the steering suffers as a result. So I'm trying to do it the hard way. It's a lovely comparison with this shot, though. You can see the crew on the right here, the Oslo crew, long, languid strokes, and you can see, compare that to the more aggressive, short, punchy strokes of the Northwich crew, trying to put everything in to try and catch up.
Still controlling that race from the front, N.S.R. Oslo. So they're moving down towards the enclosures. Northwich keeping their rate of striking high. They're putting up a good fight here. I think they've been slightly outclassed by this crew from Norway. And again, some steering back towards the middle of that course.
What a wonderful view of the course there, Jess. You can see the next race 3 or 4 minutes behind. You can see the bank starting to get busy, all the different enclosures down. And there's a cracking view of that crew. So they're moving together, all the hand heights as they come forward, as the blades come through the water at the same heights, all in unison. And once you look particularly at the bow of the boat, just cutting smoothly through the water, that boat's just flowing really efficiently. Great shot.
Yellow M-Packer from Germany. Northwich are just staying in touch with the race. This is their Henley now.
Yeah.
Then you're never going to roll over. You're going to keep that going to the line. You want to keep that margin as close as possible. You want the history books to say, you know, the Wednesday we gave them a good race. We were tight towards the end, and they're doing it. They're doing a really good job here, this Northwich crew.
You've got to admire their tenacity. Particularly, they're doing their absolute best to get on level terms with what, about 100 metres to go. Maybe 10 or 12 strokes or so as they come past the grandstands.
And they have. They've kept this power on. They've really done themselves proud against a very good-looking N.S.R. Oslo crew. And they're going to bring this towards the finish line. And the margin is going to be down around a length and a half. And that's going to be a win in the Wyfold Challenge Cup for N.S.R. Oslo of Norway over Northwich Rowing Club.